Welcome back for another week of the Wealth Cafe. And today I want to take a deep dive on one of the biggest misconceptions I see a lot of clients have in regards to their compensation. So, we are talking about people who work for companies, whether no matter the size of the company. I want to talk today a little bit about what your full compensation actually looks like. Because so many people, and we'll kick this off as the first misconception, they just look at their salary. Or they'll just look at salary and bonus. And I will be on financial planning calls with clients, and they will say, well, I make this much in salary and then this much in bonus, and the bonus isn't guaranteed, but we always get it. So really, I make X, Y, and Z, and they'll just add the two numbers together. First of all, this is an incorrect way to look at things because of taxes. The way that your income versus your bonus is taxed, two very different things. A bonus is taxed at a much higher rate than your income is going to be taxed at. So when clients go in for a new job and they are negotiating salary, they'll say, well, I got more in bonus. Well, of course, the company's going to want you to get more in bonus. That's a bigger tax deduction for them, and you are going to have to pay more in taxes. So always keep that in mind when you are taking a look at arguing for salary versus bonus compensation. And remember, don't lump them together. They are not one and the same. So a lot of people, they'll get their bonus payout and they'll be like, where did all of the money go? And I'm like, yeah, because it is taxed at such a higher rate. The second thing that I see a lot of people forget about when they are looking at their compensation package is 401k match. And so not every company offers this, but if you do have a 401k, there's a good chance that they have to take advantage of something called the safe harbor rule, right? So this is set up in order to make sure that the highest employees, paid employees at the company are not just getting all of the money and leaving the lower paid employees to go fend for themselves. The safe harbor rule was created so that companies are equally contributing to their employees' 401k and retirement accounts. So if you have a match from a company, I'm sure you've heard this said a million times, it's essentially free money. Yes, you won't see it for many years, and there's different rules around when you could receive it, known as vesting rules. So make sure you're aware of those. But your company is offering to give you more money in order to retire down the road. I mean, what more could you ask for? So make sure you understand two things when it comes to your 401k is, do you have the option to contribute to a 401k, either Roth or traditional 401k? And how much is your company going to be matching for you? And when you find out about the matching, make sure you know what the vesting schedule is. A lot of people will have two different options, and it's either a cliff or graded. Cliff means after a certain amount of time, could be immediate depending on the company, but after a certain amount of time, 100% of the money will all of a sudden be yours. Or there's graded, which means that a certain percent of your 401k match will be given to you each year. So it could be 20% year one, 40% year two, 60% year three, and so on until you reach that 100%. Keep in mind, your own personal contributions are yours right away. So if you put in $1,000 a month, that money is always yours, and there are penalties if you were to take it out of a retirement account earlier, but that is for another video. To keep going with some misconceptions I see about compensation packages, a lot of people also forget if they are getting equity. Now, it looks different if you are getting equity in a private versus a public company. With a public company, you can go online and see, okay, today my shares of X, Y, and Z are trading at this dollar amount, and you know exactly how much that's valued at. I have a lot of clients who work at companies where they are getting private stock compensation or private equity in that company, and they're always asking me, they're like, how do I actually know what this is worth? And it's hard because you can't just go log on to Yahoo Finance or CNBC and track the ticker of that company. Sometimes they're only doing valuations once a year and you'll get an update. I always call it with private companies, it's a compensation lottery ticket, right? You may have these stocks and equity in this company that becomes the next great Amazon or Apple or whatever company you want to insert there. Or it could go to zero, and that is a very likely possibility. So make sure you are understanding and asking questions to your HR team or whoever's in charge of granting the stock options. And then also make sure you work with your financial team to figure out, okay, where does this equity, private equity and compensation play into my total financial plan and my net worth statement? Same goes if you have public company stock, right? You want to make sure that if you are being given and paid in stock every year as part of your compensation plan, you are talking with your financial team and discussing, okay, how do I make sure, I'm not getting an over concentration in this stock? How do I diversify? How do I keep a really realistic goal and mindset around what I have here? Because a lot of people will take a look at something and it's very easy to either forget about it or give it too much value, right? There's a whole sliding scale in there. The fourth thing that a lot of people forget about is the time off that you are given. Now, this can be a wide variety of things, right? It could be vacation time, right? So a lot of companies, let's say you leave and you had accrued 2 weeks of vacation time, they may pay that out to you before you leave. And that's also time that values into, what your employer is paying you. The same can also be said for paternity leave, maternity, paternity, or any parental leave that you take. There's all different policies that are out there, and there's been a really big shift and growth in what is being offered to new parents. Or also, if you have to go on bereavement, that is something that a lot of companies are now starting to offer. And you may not be getting your full salary during this time, but it is an expense that the company is taking on by having you and paying you during this time to go and step away. And I think it's one that we easily sweep under the rug. I know when I worked for a company, I had to take a couple of days of bereavement. And I didn't think about it, right? You don't think about the fact then that there's other people having to pick up your slack, which is all part of life, right? We all go through these things. However, it is a cost that you should factor into your compensation package, right? If you have an incredible maternity or paternity leave and you know you're having a child soon, that's money that if you're able to stay home with your child for longer, you could be saving directly in childcare costs. Daycare is not cheap if you have looked up the prices lately. The last thing I want to touch on too is continuing education or employee benefits programs that companies bring in. Now, I do a lot of workshops for companies and I will come in and teach on different financial topics and run financial roundtables. And a lot of employees benefit from this, right? They see me come in and provide them education that they may not have gone and sought out on their own, or there's so many resources in the world of the web and social media that they don't know who to go to. So I will come in and do educational topics for employees, and this is an added benefit for them. It also goes, let's say, if your employer is paying for you to take a college class or a continuing education program. I know personally, I got my master's when I was working in corporate America, and that was an added benefit, right? So they paid for a portion of my master's classes, and then I was reimbursed for them after I took the classes, and this was an added benefit that I was given there. But it's also one of those things that we don't always necessarily think about, right? Unless you're pursuing it, you might not think, well, this is part of my benefits package, but you may decide to down the road. Moral of the story is there is so much more that goes into your benefits and compensation beyond just salary or salary and bonus. So if you are either thinking of leaving your role or looking at a new role or trying to figure out where you are right now, I encourage you to look beyond just your salary. And I could go on and on about different perks that you are being given, from commuter benefits to discounts at gyms or restaurants or other bonuses if you work for a company that has products or services that they are giving you at a discount. So before you take a jump, make sure you fully understand what you have now and what you are being offered somewhere else. It's very easy, especially in today's world, to always think the grass is greener and to say, well, I'll just make more money. And your compensation package, there's going to be different areas to it. As I talked about before, being given maternity or paternity leave, it might not be of value to you right now. You might be well past that part of your life and thinking, well, I don't really need 6 months, or that's not an added benefit to me, so I don't really consider that in my compensation package. That is fair. You have to figure out the value of your compensation package to you. And keep in mind, these are things as well, if you are looking for a new role, that you can use to your benefit and negotiate and say, hey, I'm never going to need X, Y, and Z benefit. I would like to see more in this area. The key is understanding that you have so much more that goes into your benefits package and being able to use that to your advantage and in a way that also benefits your company. So I think it is just an incredible win-win when both parties understand what is beneficial to the employee and how the employee can benefit from what their employer is providing beyond just salary or salary and bonus. If you have any questions, I know there is so much information in here and every compensation plan is so different. Please feel free to reach out, leave any comments here, and we can talk further about what you are seeing at your company, especially as benefits are continuing to evolve and new things are constantly being added. I hope you found this valuable, and if so, make sure you are following along here. And we will see you next week for an incredible conversation all about the difference between Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks.